Hello and welcome to another Imperator Rome video. Last week we did not have a dev diary, which was very sad, but they have certainly made up for it this week, because this is a very good dev diary in my opinion. And I like the changes, I really do. Anyway, let's get straight into it. Johan did post on Twitter earlier today some teaser images, but all of the images he posted on Twitter are in the dev diary, so we're not going to go diving into his Twitter this time. Hello everyone, and welcome back to another dev diary for Imperator Rome. It's almost 2 weeks since we released the Cicero update, and we are now starting to be able to talk about what will come in the Livy update, which is planned for later this year. Let's start by digging deep into a mechanic that has not seen much change in the last 15 years of Paradox games. The reinforcement mechanic of Imperator is basically the same as EU3 has, which every game since then, from Vicky 2 to Hearts 4, have used. You lose soldiers to combat and attrition, and slowly recover them from your manpower pool with a speed that depends on multiple factors. In the Livy update, this all changes. Oh, how ominous and awesome that sounds. Armies will consume food, and they will be able to carry food with them. Elephants will not require more food than they can carry, while camels can carry more. Basically saying each unit has a different amount of food they can carry, and each unit can have, it consumes a different amount of food. There's a new unit type called the Supply Train that can carry much more food, but they're slow and abysmal in combat. Armies can stock up on food supply in their own territory, or in territory where they have taken control of the provincial capital. It's going to be a lot more important to protect your provincial capitals, and maybe, move them to a mountain fort, something like that. Armies no longer lose soldiers to normal attrition. We're going to have to redefine what attrition means because it's different. It's very different. Attrition now drains the food supply of an army, with high attrition increasing this. Armies without food loses about 5% of its strength each month. So if you got no food, 20 months and you are gone. You are dead. Everyone is dead. Maybe. Depends on how the percentages work. If it's 5% of max, 5% of the total, or 5% of what's left, you could come into that frog scenario. You probably know what I mean. Your armies can only reinforce when they are not taking attrition. And this is the part where I think it's worded very, very ambiguously. Because on the one hand, and this is what I really kind of want to see, is that when they are not taking attrition means they are not taking any attrition that would drain their food supply. So, say you are sieging an enemy fort, you can't reinforce because you're taking attrition from being inside enemy territory. You're going to need to take the provincial capital so you can get the food from there first. That's what I'm thinking this means. Alternatively, it could mean just you can't reinforce once the food runs out, but I don't think that's the case. I think if you are marching deep into enemy territory, you are not going to be able to reinforce your armies. You're going to need to take the provincial capitals so that your food can resupply. You're no longer taking attrition because, you're resupplying your food. And that's how you're going to have to reinforce. It's going to make warfare so much more tactical and interesting. I really hope I'm right about this. I really do. This gives the following benefits to the game experience. The AI is better at handling this situation with regards to manpower. And that's a huge relief because the AI is kind of terrible at handling manpower, almost as bad as me. Because I'm not very good at it. I tend to stack quite a few units when I'm doing sieges. You will actually be able to lose sieges as you run out of food and lose enough troops. That's really good because quite a lot of sieges just straight up failed because the attackers just couldn't sustain it. So that's fantastic. I love that. A deeper and more immersive warfare. Yeah, definitely looks like that. And you'll have more control over your manpower. Beautiful. So moving on to the first image, we can see the army the First Legion, and it has 2 supply trains. And of course, these supply trains can hold an awful lot of food. So it gains plus 7.76 food per month, and this is coming out of the province itself. So if you have a province that is very low on food, of course you don't want to have your armies go and resupply there, otherwise you may starve your cities. But it's gaining 7.76 and it's using 3.7 food. So this army is stable, one could say. And then moving on. One thing that fans of the Crusader Kings series recognize and have been able, as Harry have been requesting since they first saw the game, is the ability to name your ruler's children. In Livy, the pop-up for newborns for your ruler will allow you to edit the name to anything you want. And yes, that's fantastic. All I would ask for is a little dice button here that will randomize it. Otherwise, I'm mostly always going to go with just what it's there. I like culturally appropriate names for the children of my rulers. So yeah, just a little randomized button would be nice. Another quality of life option which has been requested that is also being added to Livy is the possibility for you to see what trait your ruler would gain or lose from an event and be able to tooltip the icon to show its impact. So icon, Publius falls ill, you can hover over the little button here and it'll show that he's getting Mentegra and what Mentegra does. And this is useful because honestly, every time that I had an event like this and it's like, oh, your ruler has got this, I would, click on his face, open his panel, and then click the event and then see whatever the new icon was. That would be the way you had to do it. So yeah, this is a small one, but very, very useful. Stay tuned for next week when my Padawan Peter Nicholson will explain what the new button in the top screen is for. So let's scroll back up to, I guess, the top one because it's the most interesting. And yes, there is a new icon there. And I have seen quite a bit of speculation on this already, what it could possibly be. There was a few really strong arguments, I would say, strong suggestions that it is something to do with missions. Because the Livy update is supposed to be adding flavor to the game. And missions, I guess, or missions decisions, kind of, mission trees in EU4, that would be like flavor. And the reason they thought that is because maybe it's like the guy that held was it Atlas that held the world on his back, and it kind of looks like him a bit. I don't really buy it, but it's one suggestion that I've seen. Honestly, I have no idea personally, but I would love to hear your thoughts. What do you think that bare-chested brute of a man, that icon, what do you think it is? Because I have no idea. It's gonna be interesting to find out. He's got something on his head as well. Like that's not hair. That can't be hair. There's something more there. I don't know though. I don't know. So please do leave your comments down below if you have any idea what that could possibly be. But anyway, back to the food, because I have some more thoughts and stuff about this. So one thing that I would say needs to be included in this food rework as well is resupply via the sea. There was a reason that when Alexander the Great was invading Persia, he went down the coastline of, Palestine and Syria and that. He went down the coastline there because he kept getting his army resupplied via his navy. And then when he went into, Mesopotamia and went down the coast, he got his boats over there as well and used the boats on the rivers, the Tigris and Euphrates, if I remember correctly, and used them to supply there as well, and especially when he was crossing the desert in, modern day Iran. Crossing the desert there, he needed resupply via ship. Like, resupply via ship was kind of important for armies in this period, like almost always. Caesar resupplied by a ship, like quite a fair bit. it's really important, and I would love to see maybe an extra ship type, the supply ship, or even just have ships have their own supply. That maybe if they're docked and the army is in the same province, say in this image, if that Roman army was in Ostia, that boat would give their food to the army. How boats would work with food capacity, maybe, because boats probably should have a food capacity as well. The sailors don't just live on fish, so maybe they also get resupplied by the ship, by the ports, but they would have a much larger food supply, I think, because they've got the entire hold to store food. So maybe they have a really huge food supply. They get resupplied at their own port. Fill it really high up with food, and of course they will drain it over time as they're sailing around. But then if the army is of course running out of food faster, the ships can dock again, pass some of that food over, go back and resupply at their own land again. That would be really nice. That would facilitate things like the Roman army marching on Carthage, like crossing the ocean, being resupplied by ships going back and forth, bringing food from Rome. Something like that would be fantastic. I'd love to see that. Yeah, definitely. But anyway, there are some comments that have been replied to, some of them actually my own as well. So, actually the first one. Someone had asked, I should probably try and put it on properly so it can be seen easier. We show all posts. We'll look for the one that was replying to me first here. Jump up to what that was. There we go. Sorry, this is a bit janky way to do it, but come on. Whatever, it's fine. Where's my face? Where's my face? There it is. So, Ramiro here asked, will it be possible to supply food to besieging armies? And my reply was, just going by what we see here, I envisage being able to constantly send supply wagons to the army that is sieging, just by sending more supply wagon units that way. That seemed fairly obvious to me, and of course, Johan replied and said, yes, that is possible, because that's what some people have been doing. That's how the beta testers have been doing it. So, yeah, that's totally possible. If you're sieging and you don't want to have the siege is going to take a while, send your supply wagons back and forth to resupply the besiegers. That sounds perfectly reasonable to me. Then if we go and just chuck this back on, only dev responses. Yeah, get down. There we go. What about deserts? Did you remove flat attrition from desert tiles? No. Deserts will now drain food supply dramatically. So if you're going to march through a desert, either bring an awful lot of food or be able to resupply them, maybe by the sea. Like, I can't imagine the sea wouldn't be resupplyable, right? It's got to be a part of it. He said nothing about it in the dev diary, but it's just got to be a part of it. It can't not be. Will we get an open beta for 1.3 as we got for 1.2? Pretty please. And Johan said after PDXCon, to which I replied, can we play it if we attend PDXCon? And that is the plan. So I am attending PDXCon, so maybe say hi if you see me. Maybe you probably don't know my face, but you might recognize my voice. Maybe, I don't know. And then finally, is attrition in this contest the new attrition for not having food or the old attrition from modifiers? So are my armies going to reinforce while walking in the mountains if they have food? No, they won't. And so this sort of reinforces what I was saying about how about what the attrition meant. Like, it's new attrition versus old attrition. New attrition is, I'm going to kill your food, and then once your food is gone, you're going to die. It definitely reinforces my idea here. I really think I'm right, and I really hope I am as well. But definitely this is a reinforcement of that. Yeah. Oh, I'm so excited. I'm so excited. Imperator is going to be an amazing game. I know it. I just feel it. Of course, there's a lot of argumentation from some more stubborn people in the Paradox gamers community. That's a really shit way of saying it, but yeah, there's a lot of people that really still harp on how Imperator is this, that, and the other. But I just want to say I still truly believe that Imperator now has the best foundation, the best backbone of any of the Paradox games. EU4 is a fantastic game, but its foundations of monarch points and development, it's rocky and it's shaky, and personally I can't stand either of those things. Mana, especially in EU4, is something that I tolerate. And Imperator has no mana. Again, if you want to argue with me about whether these two are mana, just don't. I've argued about that so many times. This is not mana. But yeah, Imperator has no mana. Imperator has characters. They may not be the most fleshed out characters like in CK2, but it has characters. It has population. Again, might not be as fleshed out as, say, Vicky 2, but it's got characters and pops. No mana, and that's a really good backbone to have. It's a good foundation, and now, you know, the next half decade of building on that foundation is just going to flesh it out more and more. And yeah, 5 years from now, the way to play EU4, the way to play in 1444 will be to load up Imperator with a 1444 mod. I'm calling it here. I am calling it here. That's what I believe. Anyway, I hope you found this dev diary as exciting and as just fucking awesome as I did, and I would love to hear your thoughts down in the comment section below. So yeah, thank you all very much for watching. If you are interested in Imperator Rome, this would be the channel to follow. I cover all of the news, all the dev diaries, and all of that good stuff here. So yeah, subscribe and likes and I don't know, there's probably other buttons, bells and stuff. Yeah, do that bell thing. Yay. And yeah, I will see you guys in the next one. God, I'm looking forward to next week's dev diary now. Very nice times for Imperator fans. Thank you all very much for watching. I'll see you then. Bye-bye.